This is the One More Mission podcast for justiceforveterans.uk. A small delegation led by former Parachute Regiment Major General Dair Farrar-Hockley, and among whom was long-time campaigner Paul Young of the Northern Ireland Veterans Movement, attended a meeting with officials at number 10 yesterday, April 29, immediately after we were there to speak to them about the meeting. First, former Parachute Regiment Major General Dair Farrar-Hockley.
We are representing past and present members of the Parachute Regiment and all those who have served or serve now with airborne forces. That's who we represented today at an invitation from the Secretary of State for Defence to meet in number 10 to consider some of the grave concerns about the Troubles Bill which this particular government is pushing through. But we're also here in spirit with our comrades in the Special Air Service Regiment Association, very importantly with the Royal Ulster Constabulary, and all the other members of the armed forces who served during Operation Banner for 30 years. I think I'm right in saying that numbers 300,000 people. Now, the first thing to say is we weren't sure what sort of reception we'd get in number 10, where there were representatives of the Northern Ireland Office, very importantly the MOD, who chaired it, and also representatives from number 10 Downing Street, who were involved in policy on foreign affairs, on security and defence. And I can only say the meeting was extremely cordial, and it was made clear very early on, that this was the first of a number of meetings. Because of Chatham House rules, I can't tell you about the meeting, but I think we felt reassured that not only someone was listening, but they were already resonating with some of the serious issues that we raised. But I may look at a note, if I may, and quote from a lawyer who has done a great deal for veterans over time. His name is Philip Barden. He's a partner at Devonshire's Solicitors, LLP. And he wrote in The Critic last year, Mr. Benn is repeating a failed approach to the Troubles. The process continues to be biased against the Army and the RUC. And I would add that makes the process the punishment. However, what I have to say from today's meeting is people were listening, and I felt that we'd at last had an ear, and some of the problems, people were nodding to one another, realizing that there were things they were finding elsewhere. The difficulty with all this is the effort which the present government is putting into winding back the clock 28 years after the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. Mr. Benn, the Secretary of State, with of course the Prime Minister, Lord Hermer and Jonathan Powell pushing behind, has three little words: justice for all, information for all, and answers for all. Now, he may not like that, but it appears very clearly from a speech he made in June of last year. And I'll pick up one data point. There are, at the moment in 2026, 1,200 deaths which are unexplained and unresolved. And I think anyone who takes this seriously and objectively knows that there's a vanishingly small opportunity for justice, let alone answers for people. So that's 1,200 families who won't get an answer. Now, the other thing about this is the timing is extraordinary. So here we have this tremendous effort by the government to try and succeed in the vote the other night to take this into the new term in Parliament. At the very time when they're hoping to raise reserves to go into the armed forces, and across London on the same day, Dr. Fiona Hill is speaking on the very serious aspect of a conflict which is coming. Let me explain who she is. She, with Lord Robertson and General Sir Richard Barrons, were the three very senior people with the knowledge and experience to put together the Strategic Defence Review in June last year. What Fiona Hill said is this: Britain is losing, I stress the word, its hybrid war with Russia and is unprepared for conflict. So I say to the Prime Minister and Lord Hermer, and very importantly Jonathan Powell, who is, for those who don't know him, our National Security Advisor, this is the time to act. At the moment we see pretense of acting. If you don't act now, hoping that something will come along in 2029 will not do. All the men I was with today, and we were all men as it happened, in number 10, were all people who grew up with one clear understanding. The first duty of any government is defence of the realm. So Prime Minister, so Lord Hermer, so Mr Powell, kindly do your duty.
Next we talk to Paul Young of the Northern Ireland Veterans Movement.
Well, I came over today from Northern Ireland. That's where I live, and I have a unique perspective, having been a veteran of the Blues and Royals, and also been in the RUC. That's where I live in Northern Ireland. So I've been doing this for about 9 years. Started with the Tory government when they were in, and unfortunately they had the miserable Theresa May, who promised things but didn't deliver, like a lot of politicians. So after a long period, we got the Legacy Act in, which we thought was really, really good. Not perfect, but better than you were going to get. And it stopped the lawfare. There's no doubt about it. Stopped it dead in its tracks. So with the Conservative government committing political suicide, we got lumbered with a general election and got this Labour government in who are still hell-bent on repealing the Legacy Act. Now, we kind of decided after the Legacy Act, and we kind of sort of ran down a bit, and we just thought we'd have to look after the ICRIR and just make sure they were going to do their own. And unfortunately, we found ourselves back on the campaign trail again. So we've stood ourselves up over a period of time of the last 18 months, and we've been engaging with the Northern Ireland Veterans Movement, which is an umbrella group for the Justice for Northern Ireland Veterans, the Rolling Thunder for Soldier F, and the Million Veterans March, which is now renamed Op Justice. So we've got the three main groups, and we're somewhere in the total of 145,000, something like that, in our groups. So we had to bring everybody up again into a campaign mode again, and we're getting there. And with what's going on now, this government is under real pressure, because what they're doing is literally opposed by just about every single veteran group around, including the Special Forces, SAS, Paragroup, Marines, and of course all the ordinary cat badges. And I don't mean ordinary in that sense, they know what I mean. So they've really stirred up the hornet's nest. So for me, coming over this morning was something that needed to be done. And even though we went inside number 10, and I really, for the life of me, don't understand why we did that. I can't tell you who we met in there, because, you know, that's what we agreed. But I can tell you that there was no need for us to hold that meeting in number 10. I don't know whether they were trying to, you know, bullshit us, you know, look, you're in number 10, but that, quite frankly, that meeting could have been held anywhere, you know. So, but we were cordial, we put all our points across at it, and it was essentially a parachute regiment meeting, and I was invited along to represent the other elements of the campaign people. And we put some good points to them, the points that we've been putting across publicly as well. And they listened, and we've agreed that we'll meet again, and we'll keep it cordial because we don't want to fall out with people. But I think they're going to have a very hard job getting it through the next phase. Politically, there's no guarantee that come May or later on, even June, that will be the same Prime Minister, the same Northern Ireland Secretary. It could all change. So we'll keep pushing our campaign against what they're doing. And I suppose, fingers crossed behind our back, hopefully that government that's in power now will change. Not necessarily, the Labour Party, but those within the Labour Party might change. Those that are running it, those that are in the Northern Ireland might change. That's an outside hope, but it's possible. And that they put somebody in who's more attuned to what people on the street, including things like defence and things like that, people that want more, and they will look at what's happening with the Northern Ireland Bill and say, this is too much bother. We've got other things to worry about, and let's bin it. And if that does happen, a new cabinet comes in with a new Prime Minister, albeit Labour, they would want, I would think, to change their Northern Ireland Secretary and all those things. They want their own people in. So that's kind of a long hope that might happen and resolve itself for us, I think. It's not over, far from it. It's a long way to go yet. There's all sorts of factors can happen in the next few months. And we'll just take each hurdle as it comes and hit it hard. What is going to happen, I think, is that a lot of the elements that are campaigning will come together a bit closer and form like a star chamber, if you like. So we're all not doing it individually. We're already doing that to an extent, but we need bring other elements in, so we've got one big powerful voice. It's great that the generals come on board. It's great that the SAS Association's coming on, because there's some powerful people in there. And now that I was in with the paras is good. So we're more stronger if we come together and speak with, and a whole group of us go in and lay down the law to them. Because I think they're going to have problems with this bill. I think they're already in trouble.
This has been the One More Mission podcast, justiceforveterans.uk. For more information, visit justiceforveterans.uk.